Six, a helping hand with your land.
Neil from Essex here at the first of our Kubota ZD1511 zero-turn mowers. This is a new model that replaces a ZD331. Let's take a quick walk around here and I'll show you some of the things that have changed. The ZD1500 incorporates a lot of the features that had changed in the ZD1200 series, which we've done a video on earlier that you can see right up here if you'd like to click there to go and view that video. We'll do a couple of things that are actually unique on this model. This is a little bit different than the other machines in the 1200 series because of the horsepower that it runs at. If you look down here under the hood, this engine is 31 horsepower. Now, with all the requirements for Tier 4 emissions, anything over 26 horsepower needs to have a diesel particulate filter installed on it. A DPF basically takes the place of a muffler, catching the soot coming out of the engine, and then we'll burn that soot off in order to create a cleaner exhaust stream. In a machine like this, being that the engine is running wide open most of the time with a nice hot exhaust, DPF burns won't happen very frequently, and you really shouldn't expect any issues with these systems. When you do hear frustrations with DPFs, it's typically from guys that are running at low RPMs, where the engine is creating a lot of soot, causing the DPF to clog frequently. In this case, it really shouldn't be an issue. If you look down here on the side, this engine also has a turbocharger. Who doesn't want a mower with a turbocharger? That torque should really create a great performing mower. This engine at 31 horsepower, turbocharger bolted to it, coupled with Kubota's ACS cutting deck, without a doubt will create the most powerful mower that Kubota has ever had. One of the biggest frustrations that guys had with the old mowers often stemmed from the fuel tanks. The old series had two separate fuel tanks, which was great, a lot of capacity, but those fuel tanks came together in a switch that you had to flip to one tank or the other in order to choose which one you wanted to use. That was fine, it did the job, but it's one more thing to fiddle with underneath your seat, right? So the newer series now does still have two fuel tanks, but they're unified fuel tanks, and you'll notice a funny air vent that goes over the top of the tanks over here to allow fuel to flow from one side to the other without air locking the tanks. There's also some ergonomic changes that happened up here, moving the levers up closer to the operator. The throttle right now with this engine is an electronically operated throttle, so it moves really smooth without cables attached to it. Your height control has moved up here closer to the operator and is really easy to turn. If you've not seen these mowers before, this mower deck also lifts hydraulically. It has a real hydraulic cylinder to bring it up and down, so it's a lot easier to adjust the height than a foot-operated pedal. Over on the other side, there's now an electronic dash available as well that gives you a lot more information than a bunch of lights or gauges from years gone by. The new dash gives a lot more indicators to the actual state of the engine and what it's doing, just giving a lot more information to the operator. One of the other unique features that's found here on the 1500 series that's not on the 1200 series is an air ride seat. This is a feature that's only found in the most premium zero-turn mowers. And if you've ever sat on an air ride seat before in a tractor, it's a vast improvement over a spring seat. Air rides just conform and bounce a lot better and a lot more naturally than a spring seat does. It's also very easy to adjust, rather than having to crank a knob up or down. In this case, you just have a switch that you can rock back and forth to either compress the seat further or loosen it up. And you can see right now the bladder is empty the whole way, so as I fill it up, I can feel myself raise up a little bit and get a nice cushy bounce out of the seat. The heart of a Kubota zero-turn mower is really unlike any other mower on the market. Typically if you flip the seat up and you look underneath, you'll find a lot of belts and hoses underneath of a machine, which are fine. It's an inexpensive way to build a mower, but we all know as years go by, belts and hoses, leak and need to be replaced just because the rubbers corrode. In this case, Kubota takes their own transmission and bolts it to their engine directly, so it's a shaft-driven system with no belts and hoses involved. So you have right here in the middle a central gearbox with a wet clutch, attached to two pumps, which are bolted to two motors. Kubota was one of the first to pioneer this unified transmission, and it's worked really well for us. As we start to see machines get up into the thousands of hours, we're not having to replace bits and pieces of our transmissions nearly as often as we would on other mowers. Inside this is also a wet clutch as opposed to a magnetic one. Wet clutches are a lot more heavy duty and stand up to being snapped on and off a lot better than magnetic clutches do, just like we would have in a big agricultural tractor. You see that clutch is attached to a drive shaft down here on the bottom, so that shaft feeds up to the mower deck rather than a belt. Shafts are typically a cleaner transfer of power than belts. Every time you have a belt in a machine like this in its transmission, it produces heat, and heat equals lost power. So not only do we have a lot of power back at the engine, but we have a very efficient drivetrain that's also very heavy duty. If there's any downside to this machine, it's that all these pieces do add weight. This is a heavy mower. And if you're trucking along at, nearly 10 miles an hour like this thing is able to go, and you go to make a quick turn, all this weight wants to keep going. It has a lot of inertia. So it may not feel quite as snappy as some lightweight gas machines do. But if you're looking for a very heavy-duty diesel zero-turn mower, you have some really demanding applications, this is a great choice. If we can help you with a machine like this, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messick's.com.